Alright guys, give me just one sec here while I update things. This is ASTREA versus PETRAEUS. I know some of you guys wanted to see Impact versus Stacky Man, but I had to make a quick decision because I didn't want to be left out of a game again, and we just want to keep casting, so ASTREA versus PETRAEUS. There we go, updated. So some of you guys, of course, responded like after I had asked on stream. I asked in chat earlier on, and sorry, it was a clutch in the decision moment, but this will not be a bad match, I guarantee it. These are two of probably the best up-and-comers currently living in North America. And I know to some that's like, whatever, up and coming, who cares? But no, really, these are two of like some of the better players you're going to get the experience of seeing from North America. So without further ado, spawning in the lower left corner of the map, he is yellow, he's Zerg, and he comes all the way from New Zealand. Give it up for Root Gaming's PETRAEUS. And his opponent in the upper right recently graduated from the Seed Academy. It is the Purple Protoss, ASTREA. But okay, ASTREA is a player I have been fond of for the longest time, which kind of sucks for me because in this matchup I've been really rooting for PETRAEUS ever since he's been kicking a lot of ass lately. Comes from a lot of C events, and I've seen him take on Koreans over there. Moved to the Root Gaming House, now living in North America. He's got a whole new crowd, a whole new scene for him to really be exposed to, and I'm hoping he can make a good name for himself. But again, both of these players are really talented, and I'm not saying that to talk it up. Realistically, if you've seen PETRAEUS games, you know he can be very entertaining. If you've seen ASTREA games, you know he can be really good. This is only a best of one, sadly. Looks like he'll block this out a little bit. So yeah, actually, you know, we're talking about the ZOTAC Cup. In a regular cast, I wouldn't bring this up because it wouldn't be relevant. But this is like the second to last ever North American ZOTAC Cup. And one of the things worth noting, guys, is, you know, ASTREA, he kind of got his big break here. Back when he was on Team StarCraft Ascension, before he even thought about Root Gaming, before he even thought about Seed Academy being a thing, he would play in these cups. He would perform pretty well, and he's always just kind of like, he's young. Both of these players are actually pretty young. I think PETRAEUS is like 17, ASTREA is like 16 or something like that. Both really young dudes, but it was on Whirlwind. I'll never forget this game. I posted it on Reddit if you guys wanted the link to see it. Like, ASTREA versus Hyun. You come into the best of threes, it's the quarterfinals of a ZOTAC Cup, and you think like, wow, this is a no-name kid from some team called StarCraft Ascension, whoever they are, versus Quantic Gaming's Hyun. Like, not a chance. He ends up taking that series 2-1, and he does it on freaking Whirlwind with carriers and immortal run-bys. Like, if you can fathom that for a second. It was so good that IPL actually reached out to us and said, can we get that replay from you guys? That was insane. So, that was a year ago. ASTREA's only improved since then. And I'm really excited to see how this one goes. Now, PETRAEUS is sending us some units here early, nothing too crazy. ASTREA's got this wall up here at the top of the ramp. He'll be okay. Pylon coming down will need to be canceled. I'm not sure why he decided to put that down there with the Zerglings right there waiting, but at least your core will drive this back for the time being. Okay, nothing actually lost so far. I was curious on why he's got so many resources lost. Just a couple build cancels, I guess, somewhere else too. As far as PETRAEUS goes, one of the things I really like about him is he is, and this seems to be more true with like the younger generation of StarCraft 2 players. I know that sounds a little bit silly, a little bit cliche to say, but like it feels like some of the older players are a little bit stubborn, set in their ways. They don't want to adapt to new strategies. And it's players like PETRAEUS who are going to be using the Roach with the advanced burrow tech upgrade, using it to abuse force fields, get around and under them, and we've seen him do it before in the past. PETRAEUS is not innovative, I would say, but definitely adaptive. I think it's a better way to phrase that. Same kind of goes for ASTREA, where he's not really. Oh man, I lost first blood. Darn it. Where he's not really a player who's going to get too caught up with one particular strategy. You know, he's kind of, I don't know. I actually have no idea what he's going to do this game, but I'm really excited to see one way or the other. Wait to see what his extra tech shows. He's just getting the wall up and his expansion down for now. Without a forge, you know, he doesn't have the expansion safety, you know, guaranteed by the cannon, but instead just looking to pressure out here with a couple of zealots. So if he starts warping offensively, gets 3 zealots down, goes for a total of 7. He can knock down that third base with relative ease. Doesn't have to go for that, like, +1 timing, but with so many Zerglings already here to respond, as a zealot in a very awkward spot, trying to find a good area of surface area to hide behind. Some more zealots are going to warp in. Zerglings are going to find this pylon, kill that probe, but with 4 zealots now, he can start moving forward. Without roaches, these zealots are not going to be easy to deal with. As long as ASTREA stays near, back to a wall, doesn't take a bad engagement, has to defend this pylon. Of course, he needs 3 more zealots. 7 is kind of the magic number to tear something down. It looks like he should be able to hold this pylon. It's going to be close, though, actually. Oh, my God. The pylon is going to go down, and that's going to put a big hamper on the pressure here. Now, ASTREA actually has to consider going for a recall if he can't knock this Nexus down. Until the Roaches come out, these cells are not in real danger. And, of course, he'd love to use a Time Warp on the Queens, but if he does, that cancels the ability to go for a recall. So, decides to take a bit of a fight low, but not dead. Mothership 4 will get that Time Warp down. He will sandwich in these Queens, so this is 300 resources he's going to get for free. Mothership 4 does need to stay alive so he can try and recall if necessary, but focusing on this third, this is going to be a great pickoff coming out of PETRAEUS. So this is something... This is like a Korean tier level move. Like we see Trend from Samsung Galaxy do this all the time. Beautiful recall. Minimal losses, and PETRAEUS comes out a little bit behind because of that. Mostly because of the Queen loss too, which is rather unfortunate, but great move here out of ASTREA to start the game. PETRAEUS though is not going to let that go unpunished, unwarranted. He sends a couple roaches across the map. I don't know what he's necessarily going to be able to get done with this though. It's not enough to really push on in unless, unless ASTREA is not paying attention, but slapping down that force field right away. Overlord kind of acted as that retard magnet. Didn't quite draw the attention of ASTREA fully and entirely. But there's Burrow Tech guys coming out, and if we have a layer, do we have a layer? No layer. Pardon me. So no advanced Roach Tech yet, but Burrow's going to be fantastic. So early on when there's no... Oh, he's supply block, that's why. When there's no detection, no observers out, you know, let's say you slap down 14 force fields. Oh my god, all my roaches are trapped. Ah, what do I do? Oh, just burrow and take no damage until they wear off. Then unburrow and walk away. Let's not forget too, burrow also adds a huge amount of health regen to roaches while they're underground hiding. So you take a bit of damage, you heal up, it's not a problem. And if he goes for those tunneling claws, more power to him. You can move underneath the force fields, you can evacuate, you can sneak attack, you can shark attack, for goodness sake. But PETRAEUS just looking to secure the bases for now. Gonna try and clear this lower right one. You don't see people take this one so often. Oftentimes you see people elect to take this more northern base. Yes, it's more exposed, but it's also a lot easier to take. But for PETRAEUS, can't get too far ahead of himself. Does have to focus on getting his third up and running. May double expand because of that loss of the base earlier, but PETRAEUS sees all. Or sorry, ASTREA sees all. Oh god, PETRAEUS. That could be the name of this matchup. Anyways, he sees this coming with the hallucinating Phoenix, so he knows that there's going to be a base in the bottom right at some point. Overlord in the main, trying to be sacrificed in for information, will not get much, sadly. PETRAEUS still playing somewhat in the dark in that regard. Warp Prism coming up next, along with the Observer. The Observer is going to be really key again for dealing with any sort of burrow shenanigans. On top of the actual army value, burrow's not too bad either. If you find your drone line under like a huge Zealot Warp in and there's just no way to evacuate it, you can always just burrow. Because you know with the Warp Prism, there's rarely going to be the Observer. The Observer's typically above your army or around your natural. So, Burrow Tech's definitely going to pay off. A small investment that could be definitely worthwhile. Roach Speed on the way. Not going to go for Tunneling Claws just yet, but Infestation Pit coming out rather quickly here. A little bit curious on this choice. So, an Infestation Pit obviously can lead towards Swarm Host, which can lead towards a very long, drawn-out game. But on a map like Yonsu, that's typically not your go-to. I would honestly prefer to see Infestors in this particular scenario, knowing that there's a lot of Stalkers out there. Maybe Blink, he doesn't actually know if it is or isn't because he didn't get the scout with the Overlord, but we know it's going to be Colossus. So we'll see just what PETRAEUS decides to try and get away with here. Small Zealot Warp in here towards the main, sorry. Not really watching as good as I should be, I guess. Will get cleaned up, and there's no Queen to chase us down as it did die. Macro Hatchery coming out here too, but can't ignore this. Has to move his army to reposition and fight against the Stalkers in this. Oh wow, this push is actually going to kill his third. PETRAEUS has just elected to completely evacuate and give up the space. Sacrifice for sure. Moving across the map with a giant counterattack. There is, of course, the option of a giant recall, which ASTREA may need to implement here. Another sort of, not really warp in, but unload here in the main. Could be a bit problematic. PETRAEUS is ready to defend against this, though. Responds appropriately. And force the recall. Still lost the hatchery, which kind of sucks, but actually, it's not even but. Like, at this point in the game, he's on 2 bases versus a Protoss player who's trying to secure his third. Roaches are going to get completely force fielded in, and a bro tries to go off, but there's an observer above the army, so not going to be able to get away with this for free. Swarmos are going to be the elected choice here on this map, and I keep saying elected, elected, elected. Just say it 5 more times, get it out of my vocabulary here. But, alright, Swarm Host is going to be a bit of a pain to deal with until Colossus count gets high. There's a low count of Swarm Host right now, though, which makes him not that scary. With a couple Blink Stalkers, which he doesn't have either, still getting Blink on the way, he could, you know, actually viably tear these down. But because he doesn't have Blink, his pushing capability is not there. One Colossus will not keep Swarm Host at bay, and this will actually prove to be problematic if he wants to knock down this third base once more. I like the Spine Crawlers here, too. Not the biggest layer of defense, but it buys you a little bit of extra time when it comes to responding to things. Wow, why is there blood on the Swarm Host? What the hell is happening here? There's blood like all around the swarm house. It's creepy to look at. Whatever. Anyways, yeah, this push has been seen. Needs to rally a swarm host to attack up the ramp instead of down the ramp. There we go. Gonna force field off this and take a spine call here for free. PETRAEUS needs to uproot this and move it if he wants to keep it alive. Doesn't want to keep it alive, evidently. But the force fields on the ramp are actually really nice. Swarm hosts have a lot of damage. They're free units, yada yada yada. But of course, they're limited so heavily by how small their range is. So force fields pay off quite nicely there. Creep does need to get going once more, and looks like the army of ASTREA is just going to back up for now. Recognizing, okay, my opponent's got Swarm Host, I'm going to need a little bit more. I like the choice to go for the Dark Shrine. Trying to sneak attack behind when PETRAEUS doesn't have Spore Callers down, doesn't have a ton of Overseers. I mean, it only takes 4 Dark Templar to snipe off a layer before an Overseer morphs in, so you can really get in there, do some damage, and get out, or even if you don't get out, at least get a lot of massive damage done. Pushing up here with these Colossus, though, there's not enough Swarm Hosts here in the front lines. There are enough of them, of course, to push this back, but they're coming out at intervals instead of all at once, which is a little unfortunate. It's mostly allowing PETRAEUS, or ASTREA rather, to push forward somewhat uncontested. All of his creep has been pretty much cleaned up at this point, too. Lots of map vision taken away, and man, this is sad that this is only best of 1. But some Dark Templar are going to be warped in here towards the main. There's some Zealots with us, too, and oh god, PETRAEUS actually... Wait, he saw this coming. He saw this coming fully and entirely. Still didn't have anything up here in the main to react to this. Stalkers blink up towards the main. Colossus are sitting here in the low ground to cover a retreat path. Roaches do burrow to try to stay alive a little bit longer. Now the Swarmers have been repositioned, but Overseer, oh god, might even finish this. 1 health, 1 health! Oh, now full health! No, the Dark Templar are not going to get away with this as much as they wanted to. War Person is going to have to pick up and get out of here, or just abandon the units by the looks of it. If he had gotten 1 more shot off in the Overseer, this Dark Templar could have stuck around for so much longer. But okay, Spire now on the way. This is going to probably be for Corruptors, not Mutalisks. There's so many Blink Stalkers already available, and of course with the option of Archons, you never really want to make a flock of Mutas in the first place. Still has to deal with this force in the main. Swarm Hosts were still rallied here, so these Locusts will be here to defend. So the Overseer does get picked off, so some Dark Templar warped in could be fantastic. Locust Waves are going to force a blink away, even though they're going to die here in a moment's time. Probably going to stay around for a little bit longer than I think he thought he could have, but attack over here in the third, once again pushing forward. Those Spine Cars by the Swarm Host enough time to get their next Locust Wave up, which is really key. The Overseer's going to make sure they don't go away for free, and a recall goes off out of ASTREA. Annoying tactics to say the least, but over here in the main, once again, ASTREA is really just playing against the fact that PETRAEUS doesn't have the most responsive units. Swarm Hosts take forever to generate their Locusts, and even when they do, it takes forever to move and reposition them. So once more in the main, huge Stalker warp in. Lots of Blink Stalkers here, going to cause so much trouble, so much pain and frustration for PETRAEUS. Track goes down, spawning pool may fall too. He's got to be careful it doesn't lose the layer. It's kind of the key structure here. A couple Stalkers going to go down though because it's a little bit late to respond. Broodling's going to get in the way here too, so snipes off some Stalkers, but for the trade of a spawning pool, not entirely sure it's the biggest deal because we don't have PETRAEUS investing into Zerglings. He doesn't have, does he even have Metabolic Boost? No, no he does, sorry. Either way, level 2 range upgrades, and no sign of a hive just yet. It's a bit frustrating, but this reminds me, if you guys watched Nation Wars yesterday, Snoop versus Mana kind of had the same predicament where Mana was constantly warping around the map, getting behind the lines of the Swarm Host to make it very difficult to respond with, but you know, ASTREA's trying to implement those tactics, but without that sort of Deathball army behind this. Yeah, he's got a lot of Colossus, but where are the Void Rays, right? How is he going to deal with any sort of follow-up to this? We got lots of Corruptors on the way. Stargate was just finished, but 2 might be necessary to get those Void Rays out. Stalkers are going to cover this, but only for so long. Moving forward here very aggressively, Swarm Host will get another wave of Locusts out and try to retreat behind this. The Colossus waves are looking pretty good. This is where, as well, for PETRAEUS, like, he needs Corruptors, he needs Vipers, he needs something else other than just Swarm Host to stay in this game. A small amount of Stalkers split off here, not even dedicated that much. We'll take out that lower right base. ASTREA's taking his 4th while this is going on, and PETRAEUS, man, I gotta give it to him. Like, he's sticking in this pretty well. He got really, really hammered hard early on. He's still not out of deep water yet, but still in this game, definitely and entirely. The Corruptors are gonna run away from the Stalkers. Unfortunately, it looks like they will be picked off. No! And the Void Ray's coming out next. So for the Swarm Host, it's kind of scary. Like, obviously PETRAEUS would love to just clump them and send them all to one direction, but if he does that, we see ASTREA constantly moving around the map, not getting caught off guard, mobility being key here. And it's so weird to look at the resources lost, because typically when you go for Swarm Hosts, you're the player who's ahead. Your opponent's losing units to free units constantly and consistently, but PETRAEUS in this scenario is actually not doing too well against this competition. Using the terrain against the Locust, I love the way ASTREA is playing this map out. Gravitic drive on the way for both the Warp Prism and the boosters for the Observers afterwards. Just continuing to further his tech. Looks like Corruptors are going to try and get involved here. Do snipe off the Mothership Core. Nice little snipe there, but not exactly a huge victory. Still has to deal with the Colossus. If he can pick off the Observer, this wouldn't be problematic, but instead he's going to lose so many Swarm Hosts. And the Corruptors are not even going to take out the Colossus. This is really getting dicey here for PETRAEUS. Gratz is just going to be called, and ASTREA will take the game.